All right, we have a special Monday episode of the This Week in Cougar Baseball podcast. Washington State coming off a series victory against San Jose State this past weekend, and the week included a midweek 10-0 run rule victory in Seattle over Seattle U as well. Coach, congratulations on the weekend and a big road series victory. How does it feel coming into this new week? I know it's a little different because we're waiting on Oregon State tonight, and so it's going to be fun to get to play in those two games. But looking back at this last week, it was a really good week for your ball club.
Yeah, going 3-1 on the road, was pleased with that, especially after dropping the Thursday game the way we did. And so, good week. Proud of our guys. It's hard to win. It's hard to win on the road. So, proud of them.
All right, one of the top things for this team in winning the final two games of that series in San Jose was the pitching. Specifically, you guys didn't walk anyone in back-to-back games, and that has to put an ear-to-ear smile on your face.
Yeah, that's what our identity should be. I mean, I know we're not going to always not walk anybody, but really, if you're walking two guys or less a game, you're putting yourself in a pretty good spot. And was really pleased with the starts that those guys had, and the bullpen. And when you do that, you have a shot to win. And, we scored late on Saturday because our pitching kept us in the game the entire time.
For folks who are looking for score information, Thursday, an 8-5 loss, a game in which Washington State had the go-ahead run at the plate in the ninth inning. And actually, Max Hartman got a really good swing off 3-2, just couldn't quite get it to the gap. On Friday, a 5-3 win over San Jose State. And then Saturday, a 6-3 win. I mentioned 10-0 on Tuesday against Seattle U. To recap the week, let's go back to that Tuesday game. You guys had some good hits. I know you said the offense, it took a little bit to get it going. And then the bullpen was really good across Tuesday, set a nice tone going into the weekend as you got a lot of scoreless work out of everybody.
Yeah, I thought on Tuesday, we haven't played well at Bannerwood in my 2 years here. And so it was important. I thought that we played well. I thought Brock gave us a good start. I think it was 2-0 through 5. So it was a close game. And then we had some chances to score early and we didn't. And we just kind of kept chipping away. I think we had a 6 spot there in the 6th, 5th or 6th. We had that 6 spot and kind of opened it up from there. And I thought the bullpen did a good job coming in, attacking the strike zone. Ryan Falk was really good, as well.
What have you seen from Ryan lately? I mean, these last few outings for him, he's been really solid.
Yeah, his fastball command, getting his fastball in. I thought his slider's improving. His changeup is his best pitch, but not having to rely on that too much. Being able to locate the fastball in, and then his slider, he was landing early in counts to jump some counts.
Going into the San Jose State series, so you guys have 1 day in between that game and then the Thursday start to the weekend in San Jose. In the 5th inning, you guys take a lead back from San Jose State. We mentioned Nick Lewis. There's a couple big spots in there for your starter on Thursday night that kind of flipped that game, ended up giving up 4 earned runs over 5 1/3 innings. But the line not entirely indicative of the way that he pitched. A really solid outing for him.
Yeah, I thought he competed, and I thought he gave us a good start. We brought in August with 2 strikes. Fernandez was fouling off pitches, and don't normally bring a guy in mid count, but just thought the cutter was a good matchup, and he comes in, and he punches him out on the cutter. So we have 2 outs. I think we're going to get out of that thing. It feels like we're going to get out of the thing. We yank a cutter to the backstop, and then with 2 strikes, we give up a base hit, and so. It's baseball, right? And that's what happens. And you're a pitcher 2 away from getting out of that thing with a lead or being tied. But that's the margin of victory or loss as a pitcher too.
Even with that, I know there were times where at the plate it struggled a little bit in that first game of the series, but you guys came back for 2 in the 7th. San Jose State scored again in the 8th, but in the 9th, get a run across, load the bases. Max Hartman works it all the way to a full count. I mean, your guys were battling right through to the bitter end of that one.
Yeah, we were battling, we were competing. We weren't ready to go from pitch one. I didn't think we had a sense of urgency offensively, and so we didn't get it going until later in the game, and we ran out of game, and you lose because of it. So the second half of the game was definitely a different level of compete than the first half of the game at the plate. And so I was more frustrated probably with just the first 4 or 5 innings.
How do you feel like you guys turned that into being really ready to go in game 2? You guys jumped out to a 4-0 lead early. This was an outstanding pitching outing from Griffin Smith that you guys get in this game, but it felt like a different vibe going into that second game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the guys just, made a decision to show up ready to go. There's no way to guarantee victory, obviously, but I thought they showed up ready to go, and that'd be a question better for them because they're playing. But yeah, I agree. I thought there was definitely a sense of urgency from pitch one. I thought our training in BP and infield outfield were better as well.
Before we get to Griffin Smith and what was a really outstanding outing for him on Friday, Alexander Jaguar, he kind of started the offense in that 4-run second inning, and he ended up having a really nice weekend for you guys. How was it watching him kind of break out?
Everything was good except for his slide on the triple when he kind of barreled into third base. But, he's had some games where he's put some good swings on some balls. Texas State, he had the home runs. And so he's a really talented young man. Good arm, he can hit. He's competitive. He likes to get in there and fight. And so, yeah, not surprised. Thought it was a good matchup, and, he got some good swings.
By a mile, the headliner on Friday was Griffin Smith and what he was able to do for you guys. And we're going to talk to him today coming up on the podcast. 8 1/3 innings, and the pitch count is something phenomenal. 79 total pitches. In 6 of his 8 full innings worked, he gave up 9, or he used 9 pitches or less. We talked about it both post-game on Friday and pre-game Saturday. You don't see that kind of efficiency. It was one of the more efficient games that I've ever seen a pitcher throw.
Yeah, I think it was 2 things. Number one, guys are afraid to challenge over the plate in today's game. I think it's a game of strikeout where everybody's wanting to just strike everybody out. And I like strikeouts. Everybody likes strikeouts, but you can't strike guys out till you get to 2 strikes, right? And so,
yeah.
And then the other thing is I thought they were ultra aggressive. And there was a time 20, 25 years ago, just a different game, right? It was a different game. But coaches would have guys take pitches to get to the bullpen. There's no way that would happen 20, 25 years ago. They would just try to wear a starter down to get to the bullpen. They would take till they got to 2 strikes just to get the pitch count up. And it's a different game. So it was kind of like the perfect storm, a guy that's willing to challenge the strike zone against a really aggressive offensive team. And then we played good defense behind him. And so I think that's where that comes from.
For him and the staff, because you mentioned the strikeouts, it says a lot about how they pitch in games, because they're not guys that rely on 15 strikeout outings and things like that to post quality starts and be a big part of what you guys are doing on the mound. I mean, a few strikeouts a game here and there for them, and it's very effective.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if we can get our guys to go deeper in games, and the name of the game is getting guys out. Mm-hmm. So if you can get a guy out on 1 pitch or 2 pitches versus striking out the side and throwing 22 pitches, our guys would rather throw 7 pitches and get 3 outs and go more innings. But like I said, that's not real common in today's game. A lot of kids want to strike everybody out, and I like strikeouts. When we get to 0-2, 1-2, I want us to not mess around and waste pitches and try to get a guy out right then. But the game is designed to get people out. That's the name of the game, get people out.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you feel about the job that Scott Ringett did? He has the final 2/3 of an inning. Griffin goes out there in the 9th, earned the opportunity to do so. A couple runs come across, charged to him there in the 9th inning, but I thought Scott did a good job of just kind of pulling everything together and saying, hey, no, we're going to end it right here, 5-3.
Yeah, with August Ritchie going as many pitches as he did on Thursday, him and Scott have a lot of trust in both those guys to kind of close out games. And so really, you're balancing on the Friday game. You have to win that game. There's no question you have to win that game. But at the same time, you want to put yourself in position to win the game on Saturday too, right? And be greedy and win the series. So the part of the reasoning for sending Griff out, he was at 72 pitches going to the 9th. He was throwing really well, was going to let him get 2 guys on and then go to Scott. And even though Griff only got the 1 out, that saved pitches for Scott on Saturday. And so Scott was just maybe a little bit more fresh than he may have been. And so I think that was just a byproduct of Griff going out there and instead of just going, hey, I don't care if I give up another run or blah, 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 or hey, my day should be done. He's doing what the team asked him to do. And then obviously Scott did a really good job coming in on Friday, attacking the strike zone, and then Saturday did a good job as well.
So that takes us to game 3 of the series for you guys. You pick up that win 5-3 on Friday. Saturday, obviously then an important game, a chance to win a road series. Tell me about that game in your eyes. Dustin Robinson came up big for you guys at the plate, which was really fun to see for him. And then you guys got another quality start in this pitching staff. Luke Myers going 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, no walks, part of these back-to-back games with no walks. What did you see in that final game of the series?
Yeah, Dustin, he's been scuffling a little bit and gets the little backed up slider and shoots the middle and gets us on the board to tie it up 2-2, which I thought was a really big swing. And then when he hit the home run, you could see how excited the guys were for him in the dugout. But I thought that just gave us a little breathing room where we didn't, when you're on the road and you're feeling like, hey, you got to be perfect to not give up a run late in a game. It's just there's some pressure. And so I thought it just gave us a little wiggle room where, hey, we could make a mistake and still keep a lead, which we ended up making a mistake. I thought we misplayed the ball and left. And so we just had a little bit of wiggle room because of Dustin's swing right there.
And I thought you guys performed really well under pressure because it was a close game. I mean, 6-3 is the final score. It's because you guys put up 3 in the 9th, but really 6th inning, really the whole way through. I mean, after the 2nd inning, it gets tied up. It's neck and neck the rest of the way, and you guys stood right in there with San Jose State.
Yeah, I think, we've played a lot of games like that, and so, some of those games that we've lost early on in the season and the frustration, and the more often you play in close games like that, the more comfortable you get, right? And so we have a little saying, we're talking about dragging people into the deep end and see who can swim. That's what the guys were saying. Like, let's get in the deep end and see who can swim. And we've played so many games like that where we won by a run, we lost by a run. You learn to get comfortable, and hopefully our guys are starting to realize that regardless of the situation and how important it is, you just got to stick with the process.
The 9th inning on Saturday was one of my favorite parts of the weekend because of the way that you guys got those 3 runs. It's a couple outs right away for you guys in the 9th. Max Hartman then triggers everything with a triple, his 6th of the season, and we're going to come back to that in a second. But then you call on Trevor Smith to come in and pinch hit for you guys. He delivers in that big spot, just his 2nd at-bat that he's had since injury. So he had a walk earlier in the series. And then Alexander Jaguar playing add-on for another couple big insurance runs. But let's start with Max in the triple. His 6th of the season. It draws him even for 5th best in a single season at WSU, and Steve Gleason, the last to do it for the Cougars. That's pretty cool. We talked about that on Saturday, and for Max to start it that way, that was great for you guys as well.
Yeah, Max put a good swing on that ball. At first, thought it might leave, but
Same.
It just was. Yeah, it wasn't carrying to right, and so I watched the video and I didn't see it live, but he didn't go out of the box as fast as I would have liked. I think he thought he maybe got it too, but he's so quick. He got on his horse and got the 3rd, and so we'll get the triple to start it. And then, Trevor, we went back and forth as a staff of whether we wanted to put him on the 27-man, just because he's still come back from injury.
Yeah,
that was his role. Like, it was literally, okay, give him a pinch hit. We're going to run for him if he can get to first base. That's a pretty limited role right now because we're trying to protect him and get him ready to go for the rest of conference. But really, the decision to pinch hit him was not hard. The decision to put him on the 27-man was, right? And that was something we went back and forth on as a staff. And so really glad we did.
It says a lot to turn to a true freshman in that kind of spot, series on the line, looking for him to deliver, and the confidence that you guys had to go to him. Like you said, not a hard decision in your mind.
No, it wasn't. He takes some of our best at-bats. Cal Diaz was throwing 94, 95. And he took the first pitch, and it was a pretty quiet take, meaning, he took it pretty easily. And you better throw pretty hard to get a fastball by him. And he just put a good swing on it, and I thought he would put together a good at-bat. I didn't know if he was going to get a hit or not, right? But you just think he's going to put together a good at-bat, and he did. And then gets to first base, and then we pinch ran for him. So.
Yeah. And what Alexander Jaguar did to follow it up, to give you guys that little extra breathing room into the bottom of the ninth, was really big as well. All 3 of these runs with 2 outs, he delivers a couple RBI on a base hit into left field. Yeah,
that was a really big swing to give us some breathing room. I think the bottom of the ninth played out completely differently because of that. And so, when we've lost some games, there's been some games where we look back on and we didn't get that 2-out hit. And then, we got a bunch of 2-out hits late on Saturday, which ultimately leads to a win. And, for us to do anything special this year, we're going to have to continue to do that because good teams get 2-out knocks.
Yeah. And again, we mentioned the no walks for the pitching staff. Bullpen all had big moments in that game as well. Tabor Fast, Rylan Hyder, Scott Ringett once again, who ends up picking up the victory a day after the save. All of them, like I said, had important moments where they had to get a big out, and they did.
Yeah, no, I thought they were aggressive, and they pitched with tempo and attacked the strike zone. And one of the things that we haven't talked about that I really do think we need to touch on is our defense. Pitching and defense, defensive pitching, they go hand in hand. And for the most part, I thought we played pretty good defense. And in Griff's outing, we played phenomenal infield defense. He got a ton of ground balls, but all weekend long, I thought we played pretty good defense.
How did you feel about, I know you guys moved Kyler Northrup to shortstop this week. How did you feel about how he handled that transition?
Yeah, I think him and Gavin both have handled it well. Just ultimately what it came down to is a little bit more arm strength out of Kyler. I think, Gavin's really good going into the 4-hole and going glove side, and so we could play him a little bit more straight up, and he can get some coverage, and you saw it on the one play where he dove in the 4-hole and made that play.
Yeah.
So you can play him a little bit more straight up, and then I think Kyler's got just a little bit more arm strength, and so it seemed natural to make a change at this time. And those guys just want to win, and so I thought they both handled it well. But, Kyler played shortstop all fall, too. So it's not like he hasn't gotten a lot of reps out there.
Big picture, then, looking after the series win for you guys, that's 10 road wins this season. It's tied for third most at WSU in the last 15 years. And I think we've talked before about, process doesn't care if it's a conference game or a non-conference game. It also doesn't care if you're home or away. And I feel like that's part of what's showing up in this team winning 10 games on the road already.
Yeah. Our guys are battle tested. They understand, when you play good baseball, you can beat anybody and you can win anywhere when you play good baseball. And so it's just about consistency. And so that doesn't surprise me because I know we didn't play well on the road last year. And a lot of these guys are the same guys that have come back. And so we are very aware of the road thing and wanting to win on the road. And I think it's important, and just for some context, if you can play right around 500 on the road, that's pretty good at any level. We're talking Division I, Division II, Division III, college, professional.
Yeah, MLB.
It's pretty good baseball. And so, I think we have seven or eight more road games, and then they're going to be critically important games. So I think more than anything, our guys just know if they stick with the process, we can win on the road. We don't need to make it a bigger deal than it is if we play good baseball.
All right, up next here, we have Griffin Smith with us. Coach, jumping into this conversation, I wanted to ask you first, just I thought the way that Griffin has handled things in terms of, this year he's not the front guy on the rotation. He's not your prototypical Friday night guy, but that doesn't seem to bother him at all. He just wants to be a part of a winning role in this pitching rotation, and I think all three of these guys are really working well off one another right now.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, all three of them pitched on Friday at some point. Griff for half the year, Luke for half the year, Nick's doing it right now. And so I think it's just who's throwing better at the time. And then, they're pretty competitive. So when one guy throws good, somebody wants to try to match them. So, yeah, I think it's a good problem to have. They're starting to throw better and more consistent when it matters here down the stretch.
Griffin, thanks for joining us here today on the podcast. Excited to get to talk to you, especially about this last weekend, but the entire season in general and going forward. But let's start with this last weekend for you. Against San Jose State, that was something else. It was something I had never experienced, watching somebody work with that kind of efficiency. What did it feel like for you out there on Friday?
I thought everything was just going quick. I know the offense scored first in the second, and after that, it would feel like I'd get up, go out to the mound, and then come right back and sit in the dugout. So it's pretty quick working.
For folks that are getting caught up, 6 of the 8 innings with 9 or fewer pitches of your full innings. What's your process like when you come back to the dugout? What does that look like for you when the offense goes to bat? You mentioned some quick turns there, and because you were rolling so fast, but what are you normally doing when you go back to the dugout in those stretches?
Well, first I go down and talk to coach a little bit about pitch I missed or where I'm missing, like what's working, what's not. And then I'd sit down, kind of reset, take my breath, get a drink of water. And then once our offense starts to get 2 outs, then I start getting back into things, getting my body moving again. And so I'm ready.
Coach, I'm guessing there weren't a lot of conversations going on Friday about what was missing, because everything was pretty efficient, and it seemed like he was executing the plan about as best as you can as a pitcher.
Yeah, and I tried to stay out of his way and not screw him up. No, yeah, he was throwing good. But yeah, we're just asking about a pitch, whenever a ball gets hit or, hey, did you get it in? Was it away? That kind of stuff. Really quick feedback. But I thought he was really poised in a good spot. So not too long conversations.
Did you feel like there was anything that set you up particularly well for success on Friday and allowed you to execute in the way that you did?
I would say just the run support. I think they scored really early, and it just freed me up on the mound to go up there and fill it up, and they were helping me on their side, just swinging early, and our guys made plays right behind me. So,
and you've had a few starts now back to back where it seems like you're getting into a pretty nice groove. Where's the development at for you right now? Where do you feel like you're kind of getting into a good spot on the mound?
I think one thing or a couple things we worked super hard on this fall is getting my fastball in, and then my breaking ball stuff. I think that's improved much from last year and has helped me a long way this year.
Coach, what have you seen in that regard? I mean, it seems pretty spot on what Griffin's saying.
Yeah, I think the execution of his fastball and his breaking ball stuff, but I think his maturity and just knowing who he is, and that comes with time, and so those things. The physical part is the fastball and the breaking stuff, but as far as just the personal inner growth, I think the maturity and understanding who he is and what he does when he's successful. There was a game last week against Nevada where we didn't make a couple plays in the infield, and I think he might have gotten frustrated and tried to do too much in the past, and he didn't. He just continued to know who he is. That's why I think those two things are connected. The maturity and knowing who he is. He didn't feel like he had to do more. He just had to be him. And so I think that's kind of, led to some of the growth.
Griffin, tell me, as a returner on this team and with how things are going coming off this series victory against San Jose State, tell me about this team right now. Where do you feel like you guys are at as an entire group?
I think we're starting to turn the corner a little bit. We've had a couple guys out all year, kind of just mixing this and there. And so once I think we'll finally get everyone back and things are clicking, I think we'll start to turn it up a notch and really come together.
Coach, how have you seen Griffin develop as a leader in his time at WSU?
Yeah, I think he's definitely vocal. He's not afraid to talk. But I think leading, his actions more than anything, leading by example, is the thing that stands out to me the most. Is he can be supportive, and it's hard as a starting pitcher because you really only have one day, and he's always a great teammate on the days that he's not pitching. And there's some days I have to kind of pull him back a little bit when he's not pitching, and like, hey, you're not pitching today. But I think the leading by example, staying present, taking it a pitch at a time. It's really easy to echo those things on days you're not pitching when you're living by it. It's hard to say, hey, take it pitch by pitch or win this pitch. And then when you're not doing that, some guys might not listen, but he's really done a really good job, really taking his outings pitch by pitch. And I think he's able to hold guys accountable to that on the days he's not pitching because of that.
So, Griffin, we're putting this out ahead of the first game of the 2 against Oregon State. Can you tell fans what a day like this on a Monday looks like for you? I'm sure you'd love to be pitching against Oregon State, but you're going to build up for the weekend. What does your work look like early in the week, getting ready for a start? And then what will it look like come game time for you tonight and the things that you'll be involved in the dugout?
Like today, I know I have a lift, so I'll get my lift in during BP, and then I'll just have simple catch play, and I'll get on the chart and support my teammates. So,
what kind of things are you charting for people that don't know?
Today I'll probably on the spray chart, just picking up on like hitter tendencies, like where they like to hit the ball, 2 strike counts, certain like off-speed pitches, what they're trying to do, so stuff like that.
How do you think through a game when you're watching it? We talked a little bit on Friday about when you watch game 1 of a series and you're going into game 2, but I'm sure every game you can pick up things and watch and learn things. How do you kind of watch the game from a pitcher's eye?
I'm kind of just looking, like in my example for Nick, I'm looking at what happens when he's like executing. So like if he's going fastball in, like how the hitter's swing looks like, how comfortable he looks. And the last couple of weeks, they haven't looked very comfortable when Nick goes in. And I think that's one thing that I can use to my strength is because I believe I have good fastball command.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think commanding the fastball and learning things from Nick go a long way and help me out.
Coach, it seems like all of your starters have really gotten into that spot where they're playing off one another really well and really truly a great weekend rotation.
Yeah, it's because they understand what pitching is,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not throwing hard and just running and throwing a ball into a net as hard as you can. It's pitching, and what pitching is commanding your fastball, changing speeds, pitching up, pitching down, pitching in the zone, pitching out of the zone. What is the hitter doing? Showing in to get them off the plate when they get comfortable. That's pitching. That's what that is. And so we have 3 guys that understand pitching. And it doesn't mean they have to be perfect. They're going to make mistakes. They're not always going to execute. We understand that. But I think what you're talking about is that they understand pitching.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when you do that and you have a game plan, and then when you execute more often than not, you're going to be more successful than not successful. But it comes down to, as a pitcher, 4 or 5 pitches that you have to make. If you don't make them, you can lose. Nick pitched better than the score indicated.
Right.
2 pitches changed that entire game.
Yeah.
One by Richie and one by him. And that going in. But it's about executing. But I think they understand what pitching is and how to get hitters out and how to disrupt timing, deception, things that are probably not popular to talk about in today's game, but they still ring true.
Griffin, another thing you did really well against San Jose State was first pitch strikes. You were all around the zone and getting ahead. I know it's not as easy as just throwing one over the plate to get strike 1. So how do you have to attack hitters so that you can effectively get ahead 0-1 as often as you can?
I think just staying on the gas the whole time. I think once a pitcher starts to step back and kind of like stop being so aggressive, that everyone behind them stops being so aggressive, and that kind of just kills the whole vibe and the pace of the game. So I think it's important for me to go out there and just stay on the gas and have the people behind me just make plays and keep doing what they do.
In terms of the guys behind you making plays, tell me about the defense behind you. There have been more than a handful of tremendous plays over the last few weeks, parts of these quality starts that you've had.
Yeah, they're great. I have a lot of trust in all of them, and even if they do happen to boot a ball, I know that they're going to pick me up the next time and make the next play, make the next double play. And so, yeah, I have a lot of faith in all those guys, and they help me out a tremendous amount. So,
what have you seen from this bullpen as well? I mean, they provided some really big innings in this last series as well, and were critical in backing up you guys as starters. What do you see from the guys coming out of the pen?
It's also a lot more freeing as a starter to have a bullpen that's as good as our bullpen is behind me. I think that's the one thing that we missed last year and us starters kind of got extended a little more just because we didn't have the help on the back end. And so it just frees us up to go out there and give it all we got. And when our time's up, we know that the person we're handing the ball to is going to get it done.
I mentioned 3 straight quality starts for you. What do you feel like is the next step for you coming off a really good outing and just keeping that consistency?
I would just say keep going. Staying on my lane and getting back to work this week and preparing for this weekend.
Coach, anything else that stands out to you about this conversation with Griffin and going forward here?
Yeah, I don't think one of the things that's talked about enough is we didn't walk anybody on Friday and we didn't walk anybody on Saturday. So I want to go to the rooftops and scream that as loud as I can because that really excites me. So no walks on Friday, no walks on Saturday in today's game of baseball. And that's not just a starter, that's the reliever. That's why you win 2 games is because you're not giving up free passes, you're not walking guys. So, he set the tone on that.
Yeah, 2 of those last 3 quality starts have included no walks from Griffin Smith. So really fun to see. Griffin, thanks for joining us this week, and we're looking forward to this next weekend coming up for you.
Thank you for having me. Go Cougs.
Great conversation with Griffin Smith, who had that outstanding outing for the Cougars on Friday, and I'm sure wishes he was taking the mound tonight for Washington State. Coach, you guys have a fun couple games coming up here. Oregon State for 2. Of course, going to be back in the conference this next year coming up, but to get to play them twice at your place, a top 10 team in the country, it's going to be a fun challenge for your guys here tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, great opportunity for our guys. The weather looks like it's going to be great today. And so it's spring break for kids in Pullman, in the Pullman School District. So hopefully we get a big crowd out watching our guys play. They have a good team, good program, have been model consistency now for a while. And, it's a great opportunity for us to showcase and earn some respect that we're a good baseball team too. When we play good, we can play with anybody.
So this week, the way it works out, you guys play Monday and Tuesday against Oregon State. It'll be a midday game tomorrow for the second against the Beavers. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday against Gardner-Webb, off Sunday, and then Portland on Monday. So this is a really fun home stretch for Cougar fans right here. How do you plan out the week for this team and for starting pitching and things like that? Yeah,
it's a lot of baseball. I mean, just a little backstory real quick. Would not have probably planned a week like this if we had a normal schedule. With Grand Canyon joining the Mountain West, they didn't tell us how many conference games we were going to play. And we didn't get our schedule until October, so we didn't even know what weeks we could schedule and not schedule.
Yeah.
And so when it came out, hey, we're going to play X amount of weeks, and by the way, you guys have 2 byes this week and then the last week of the season. Well, at that point, almost everybody in the country is full. There was a couple places on the East Coast we could have gone on the road. I did not want to go on the road again. We've been on the road enough. That was
right.
I didn't want to do that to our guys. We weren't going to go on the road, and so. Thought, okay, you know what? We're not going to play this weekend. Could not find anybody for the longest time. And so we're going to play Oregon State Monday, Tuesday. That's where that Monday game against Portland comes in, and then the Wednesday game against Utah Tech.
So that you're not off Tuesday to the following Friday.
Correct. So we don't have this huge gap. And then late in early December, mid-December, Gardner-Webb had an opening and was willing to come out here, and we worked it out where they would come out. I had already signed some contracts on those midweek games, and so it was either we don't play on the weekend or we get creative and play a bunch of games and just get the home games, which I thought was good for our players and good for our fans. So at that point, we went ahead and agreed with it, which it's a lot of baseball in a short period of time.
Yeah.
But it's not like I sat here and go, hey, this is a great idea at the time. It kind of just naturally happened. And when you can get a home series in Pullman, you got to take it.
Yeah.
Anytime you can. And so that's how that came out. And instead of going Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they wanted to try to catch a plane Saturday if they could. So we'll have Sunday off, which is a nice little breather before Monday. So
yeah, and I mean, I hesitate to say this on the podcast because the weather can change here in no time. But as of right now, it looks like some pretty nice weather coming up as well for those 3 against Gardner-Webb. And certainly we can say tonight should be really nice against Oregon State, close to 70 degrees come first pitch. What are you most looking forward to in this upcoming stretch of these next 6 games? I mean, we talked before Seattle and San Jose that kind of this 12-game stretch coming up was so pivotal for your team. And so far to start it at 3-1, there's a great chance to continue that forward.
Yeah, and I think some other guys are going to get some opportunities on the mound just because we're playing more games than we've been playing. And so really excited to see a bigger role from Trevor Stowe, Eric Rodriguez, Ryan Falk, Brock Blatter starting today. Just seeing those guys get a bigger opportunity to go multiple innings. I'm curious to see how they handle Tabor Fast, Gavin Durr, get those guys back out there.
For Brock, kind of same question I asked you last week, just how's it going, progressing for him off of, these are his first few outings back after kind of a long sideline, and how's he continuing to react to each of these outings?
Yeah, I think it's each time he goes out there for multiple innings, he went out there for a third inning last week, and so, I know he was pretty sore, but it's just part of the process. Really, if we could get him, through, I'd be thrilled if we could get him through 3, maybe get him out there for the 4th today.
Yeah.
And then Monday against Portland, the same thing. If we get him to 4 or 5 innings, and then at that point for the last 4 weeks of conference, kind of maybe reevaluate how we want to use him and what role and all those kinds of things. But yeah, really trying to get him to about 45, 50 pitches today.
For him coming into this year, like nothing was promised, right? So is it a little bit kind of like a cherry on top of this group where you can kind of, as he's starting to build this up, it's fun to find a place to put him in?
Yeah, I mean, we recruited him to pitch here. Right. So like, yes, it's a cherry, but it's a cherry that's much needed, right?
Yeah.
So, obviously him missing all of last year and getting him back. And even if it's just on Tuesday, if he's going to be a Tuesday starter, historically we haven't been very good on Tuesdays. And so having a 4 starter would be good. And then, you eye the conference tournament and needing a 4th starter for sure in a conference tournament, in a regional, all of those types of things, that is on our mind of building another guy up.
Well, last thing for you, Coach, we've talked the first couple home weekends just about how great the crowds have been, how involved they have been, and what's been going on the field. And I'm sure you're just very excited for this stretch to play in front of all of them.
Yeah, I just, you can feel the energy and there's a buzz and our guys can feel the energy. Like I've said, this is an easy group to root for. They're going to give you their best. They're going to compete. They're going to play their butt off. They're going to play together. And so hopefully the fans see that and that keeps them coming back out, especially with great weather and against a great opponent. So hoping for a really, really good crowd tonight, and then we'll deal with tomorrow.
Absolutely. All right, Coach. Well, good luck against Oregon State and Gardner-Webb coming up, and Portland too. I bet we'll probably recap after we get through all of these next 6, and going to be very fun to watch you guys play this week.
Appreciate it. Go Cougs.